Golf has lots of rules and they cover lots of ground. What they don't cover are the unwritten codes of conduct. That's called etiquette, and that's where the etiquist comes in.
So, golf's a social game, and very often we're playing with friends and we have a pretty good idea how to conduct ourselves, but every now and then we show up at a course as a single. We're paired with strangers. What's the deal? What can we talk about? What can't we talk about? We've got a guy to help us talk this through. He's a longtime caddy, golfer, and a comedian. He's the country club comic. You recognize him from Callaway commercials, from cameos in Hollywood films and sitcoms. He's Anton. Ara, thanks for joining us.
All right. Thanks, Josh, for the Hollywood intro. I love it.
So tell me, I know you're a comedian, you're an entertainer, but you've been in the golf world for a long time. How'd you get into the game?
I was 12 years old, and I started caddying at Westmoreland Country Club in Wilmette, Illinois, and then I won the Evans Scholarship, and when I was 18 years old, to Indiana University, and then started doing stand-up on campus when I was about 20, 21 years old, and then basically, long story short, I've been on about 10 TV shows, a feature movie. I've done a couple of golf commercials, as you probably, and when I heard you on the intro. So, yeah, it's led to me basically now I go to country clubs and I perform my 45-minute customized golf comedy act. I just talk about my experiences about being a Evans Scholar in Hollywood and some of the crazy stuff that's gone on in my life, dealing with, celebrities and golfers. You know what I mean?
That's got to be a little bit of a wacky world. What about your own golf game? Is that anything to laugh at, or do we take it seriously?
My golf game is like my love life. It's all over the place, right? It's one day it's here, one day it's there. It's just unbelievable. But one thing I do love is I love just after a day of just being indoors, grinding out material for the next show. I just like going to the golf course just to try to relax.
I was playing golf a couple weeks ago, and I played with a kid who started mentioning the shanks. And I had never had the shanks in my life. And a couple holes later, I just started shanking the ball left and right. Couldn't get it airborne. Walked off the course in humiliation. Is that the kind of thing? I mean, are you superstitious in that regard? Like, never say the word shank aloud, never say the word yip aloud. Are there certain rules about terms you just never bring up?
So there are terms you never want to bring up. And what I've noticed with people that I do wager with is they'll try to get inside your head. They'll say, okay, you don't want to shank this. And then you don't maybe on that shot, but then you completely like push a putt 9 feet. So they're trying to get into your head. And that's the thing they're doing. And those are the guys that I talk about that are, the guys that take the 9 club drops. Those are the kind of guys that do that. A lot of these golfers, usually right after a round of golf, especially the guys I play with out here in Los Angeles, they're going straight to the shrink's office. I mean, just to get some therapy. Because therapy is not enough on the golf course, but then they got to go tell their shrink how bad they played. And then the process just starts over again. They're there at 8 a.m. hitting balls on the range. So it's a vicious cycle.
That brings up another point, like the guy or gal who just talks endlessly about their own game. I would think, is that kind of a no-no when you're out playing with strangers? Don't narrate your own shots. Don't be your own Jim Nantz. Don't tell people.
There's two things I always say to some of these guys is like, after a round of golf, there's always that guy in a group that will tell you about every single shot. He's like, I had a 5-iron, and it was 212 yards, and I just don't know what happened to it. I let go of it, and it just went left, and oh my God, and then I chipped it in for 5. When I get off the golf course, I can barely remember half my shots. I don't know. And the other thing about golfers is this. Here's the one thing I recommend to all the golfers out there. Don't go out and play a round of golf after a major like the U.S. Open or the Masters, because the big problem I find with amateur golfers is they get on the golf course and they're like 200 yards out, and Rory had like a 7-iron in, and these guys try to replicate the shot. It's like, yeah, I'm going to be like Rory today. I'm going to hit a 7-iron 200 yards, and then Shank City. It's done. It's over. Ego's bruised. They're walking in at the turn.
Yeah. No, they're trying to mimic the tour pros. They're plumb bobbing from 3 feet. They're facing off every putt, right?
Right. Golf is the game that exposes your ego. I mean, I've caddied for titans of industry, and they've exposed their ego by playing golf. I mean, it is the craziest game. And the one thing I have to say about golf is why it's so humorous. You don't hear basketball jokes. You don't hear baseball jokes. You only hear golf jokes, because that is the place where the ultimate humor happens in life and in sport. Yeah, so that's why I think it is the all-time greatest game ever.
Yeah, it cuts to the human tragedy and comedy that we all live day to day. And well, you mentioned golf jokes in the contest that you hold, and they devolve into dirtiness pretty quickly. But can you give us one of your favorite family-friendly jokes that come out?
Family-friendly jokes? Well, I do this one thing where I caddy at the really high-end, prestigious golf course. I caddy for a lot of very wealthy people. One guy I caddy for was so rich that when his wife's American Express card got stolen and used, he didn't even care, because the thief who stole the card spent less money than his wife did.
Yeah, she's probably picking up a couple of Gucci handbags out on Rodeo Drive. So, Ara, you've suffered through the strangeness of playing with random singles on the golf course, but now you're off to do some real work. Where are you off to next for your circuit?
I got 3 shows coming up in Indiana and Ohio: Sylvania Country Club, Shawnee Country Club, and Fort Wayne Country Club. So I'm going to be doing some shows there, and then I get back, and then I got a slate of shows already lined up in October. And you can find me at countryclubcomic.com. And I have a lot of videos up there, behind-the-scenes videos of some of the old other clubs that I've done, like at San Diego Country Club, PGA West, Royal Oaks. So once we get things really moving and rolling after this COVID thing, I think we're going to start having some fun in the golf world again. So.
Well, I really appreciate your joining us. We'll get our readers and viewers to follow you and maybe show up and start heckling you at some of the shows. You never know, right?
Love it.